It's time to review some self-published fantasy. Today I'm reviewing The Oathsworn Legacy by K.R. Gangi. This is one of the finalists for the 10th self-published fantasy blog-off, which is hosted by author Mark Lawrence. I'm one of the judges for SPFBO this year, so I'm going through and I'm reading all the other finalists, and we're gonna find out which book is gonna be the winner of SPFBO. Now, at over 600 pages, this one is a chunky book, and because I had so many other books to read for SPFBO, I was a little intimidated going into this one, but as soon as I started reading it, I didn't have to worry at all, because this book reads very fast. I started this book at midnight thinking I would read maybe a chapter before going to bed, and maybe that wasn't the most responsible decision because I ended up staying up till almost 4 in the morning reading this book. I couldn't put it down. There's a lot to love with this one. I do have some criticisms as well that I'm gonna get into, but first let me tell you what the story is about. Raleigh and Balin make a living the only way they know how, protecting the people of Centrum by slaying the dark things that stole their childhood, monsters and everything evil. Though the work never ends and there's plenty of coin to go around, Raleigh and Balin discover a sinister secret hidden deep within the crevices of Centrum's past. Centuries of lies and deceit unravel before them, and they soon shift from mere mercenaries to a force that will last generations. At least, that's their hope. Dwarves in the west, rotmen in the north, elves in the east, and a tyrant king ruling with an oppressive fist, Raleigh and Balin balance on the precipice of total chaos. Will everything they've accomplished be enough to save them from the shadows rising, or will a plot that's generations old finally drag everything into the abyss? The story opens with Raleigh and Balin Terracott, these two brothers that are carving out a life as monster hunters together, and it basically just throws us right into their adventures right away. We skip all the setup, and they're just off on an adventure, and those beginning chapters, they really help anchor the story with like the banter and camaraderie of these two, as well as a lot of grit and action and mystery. And what I soon discovered is that the beginning chunk of the story, the first 40% of the book, reads like standalone short stories, with each monster hunt feeling like a self-contained episodic adventure. Though there is some continuity there, like as they go on more adventures, there's some callbacks to previous ones that we already read. Basically think The Witcher by way of like a D&D campaign, complete with cursed artifacts and mysterious job postings and undead slaying and time loops and tavern brawls. It's wonderful. Now, some people don't like that Monster of the Week short story thing, and I can see this not really working for them. I understand that. Personally, I actually love Monster of the Week stories. I feel like it kind of is reminiscent of pulp fiction, and I feel like this is something that modern fantasy is actually missing a lot, because in pulp fiction, there's so much room for the imagination. I was kind of reminded of the Dying Sun books when reading this, and to me that's a huge bonus. I love when stories are willing to experiment a bit and just be imaginative and have all these different mysteries and one-off adventures. But I think my main comparison here would obviously be The Witcher. I mean, Oathsworn Legacy is about a group of monster hunters trying to start up a monster hunting school. I feel like it wears its influence on its sleeve, and it reminds me of The Witcher short stories, which were personally my favorite Witcher books, were the short stories. And right from the beginning, I was really enjoying the like brotherly arguments between them and the more comedic moments, but also how he blends in a lot of elements of like dark fantasy. There's a lot of eerie and creepy, mysterious adventures they go on. Now, some of these monster hunts they go on, it kind of leans into fantasy horror. One moment they're being chased through a swamp by undead, then the next they discover a strange cabin in the woods, which contains an endless hallway of doors, each acting as a prison cell for some demonic monster on the other side. And when those monsters hear the Terracott brothers, they begin pleading, asking for their flesh, begging them to unlock the doors because they're hungry. And it's this tension and thrill that kept me up reading long into the night. This story specifically I thought was so eerie, and it had me hooked. And it happened right near the beginning, so I'm not really spoiling much, I'm just giving you a sample. Now, like I said, once you get to around the 40% mark of the book, the scope widens and the narrative deepens, and what once seemed like a collection of Monster of the Week side quests slowly reveals itself as a carefully interwoven epic about legacy, brotherhood, loss, and the quiet heroism of community building in the face of darkness. The stakes get higher, and we get more character growth and depth, which is something I felt like was lacking a bit in the beginning section of the novels. And while I love those D&D-like adventures, I can see some readers wanting a bit more than the surface-level thrillers that we get at the beginning, and that could make them put down the book. But again, if you have patience, the book does get there eventually. And thankfully, this one is a breeze to read through. The writing style is very to the point, it's not bogged down. It's a very enjoyable read, and I really liked when the story shifted to first-person point of view from the perspective of this shapeshifter scribe character named Simon. These moments are more introspective and are really well written, and this character sort of pens each of those short stories at the beginning. We get like a passage from this scribe. Now, one thing that I think was intentional, I'm just not really sure if I like it. There's a lot of things that happen kind of behind the scenes, and we just find out about it later, like them starting up the school and love interests and stuff like that. It happens off the page, and I feel like the author is doing this to kind of show like the passage of time. But personally, I just would have liked to actually have seen that. I would have liked to be there in the moment and gone through those big events with the characters. And this means that some of the motivations and the decisions of the characters are kind of just explained after the fact. I would just rather be there with them and see them surpass the problem than hear about this happening off screen. Or off page. Now, Gangi leans into some traditional fantasy tropes without trying to subvert them. So, you know, dwarves are minors. Elves are kind of what you think they are. Magic is mysterious, and a lot of the monsters here, not all of them, but a lot of them are kind of reminiscent of monsters that you've seen elsewhere. But there are a few, like, pretty unique ones in here, and there is some unique world building in there as well. I just feel like there could have been, like, more. And while this book kind of teases this grand, rich, multicultural world, I do feel like some of the side characters and the cultures feel a little bit underdeveloped to me, like they just kind of exist there for the plot. I just would have liked to see a little bit more unique flavor, add some spices, cook it a little bit longer, and I think it would have been really, really great. But obviously this is just book one, so there is still a lot of time to develop. I think this is still a very strong start, and I think that this world has a lot of promise to it, and that it can develop further on in the series. Oh, and I could say the same thing for the villains as well. I do enjoy those different monster hunts they go on, but some of the main villains in the series, they do feel, again, a little bit underdeveloped, and I think that this is something that could just be improved upon in the sequels. So while the beginning of the book was filled with some great action moments, it was very fun, there was even some Indiana Jones moments, which I always love to see in fantasy, but I did feel like it was lacking a bit on the more, like, deep character moments and the character growth and arcs. We didn't quite get a lot of that in the beginning of the book, but gradually the story does get deeper, and we do get those moments later on. And by the time I reached the final chapters of this book, I was surprisingly moved. I mean, Gangi sticks the landing, and he delivers a conclusion that felt earned, and it felt emotionally satisfying. I feel like he really wrapped up this book in a way where you could just read it as a standalone and love it, but he kind of hints at more adventures to come. I thought the ending was really well done. It made me reflect on the journey of what started as kind of a popcorn action read, then gradually morphed into something deeper, and I'm definitely excited to read the next book in the series. Overall, I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy the Oathsworn Legacy, and I really hope that this video can help find its readers, because there's a lot to love here. I know it's not going to work for everyone. You kind of have to have a bit of trust in the author, because eventually you do get those more satisfying character arcs and moments. It just takes a bit of time to get there. But if you are a fan of The Witcher or Riyria or classic D&D style adventuring and some really great action moments and great character relationships and brotherhood, I really think you're going to enjoy this book. And for my ranking, I'm going to give this book a solid 7.5 out of 10. As always, I think it's great to support self-published authors, so make sure to go give it a read for yourself if you want. I do have an affiliate link in the description if you want to use that. Now, I am going to be reviewing a lot of SPFBO books this month, because this is the final month of SPFBOX, so I have a lot more reviews coming. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you soon.